So given the immense scale of suffering in Gaza, there must be an immediate ceasefire for at least the next 6 weeks. Now, those are the words of the US Vice President Kamala Harris as she called for the proposed 6-week ceasefire deal in the Israel-Hamas war to be accepted, while criticising Israel over insufficient aid deliveries into Gaza. The comments, the strongest to date yet by a US administration official on Israel since the war began, and they come as well right as negotiators continue to meet in Egypt to try to broker a truce deal for the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Well, let's hear first of all from Harris.
I will repeat, the threat of Hamas poses to the people of Israel must be eliminated. And given the immense scale of suffering in Gaza, there must be an immediate ceasefire. For at least the next 6 weeks, and the Israeli government must do more to significantly increase the flow of aid. No excuses.
Well, with me here on set is James Andre. James, let's talk about the deal first of all. How close are we, do you think, to a deal?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, it's pretty difficult to say. Why? Because, well, indeed, the US administration is pointing, and this was reported by the New York Times, that indeed the Israelis agree to a global framework. But then when you see what the differences are, of course, things are different. So first, let's outline what the broad strokes of this deal are. Now, the truce is to last 6 weeks. 40 hostages are to be released. 400 Palestinian prisoners are to be let out of prison, and 500 UN aid trucks are to enter Gaza. Now, that's where we stand right now. But when you take what the differences are, well, Israel at this stage is insisting it wants a list of the surviving hostages, which they do not have for now, and they accuse Hamas of not having that list themselves. But also, they are absolutely willing to carry on with the attack against Hamas after this 6 weeks truce. And this is the main sticking point for Hamas. It is demanding a permanent ceasefire and the complete withdrawal of Israeli troops. Now, we know because, of course, in the past few days, Benjamin Netanyahu, including on the 22nd of February, made it very clear that for him, security in the Gaza Strip after this crisis was to be handed to the Israeli forces, and that there would be an occupation, and also that Israel was hoping to create a buffer zone inside the Gaza Strip, which would yet again reduce the amount of space available for people to live in this already small territory that sits under a complete blockade for now 17 years. Now, this is one of the big sticking points also with the US administration, simply because, well, the Americans have a different view of what should happen after this war ends.
James, we heard at the top there from Kamala Harris, and the Americans are really piling on the pressure now, aren't they?
Now, they are very much so. And indeed, this speech by Kamala Harris is very significant. She calls for an immediate ceasefire. She does, though, if you listen to the whole speech, say that this ceasefire is to last 6 weeks. She also says that Hamas must no longer present a threat for Israel, and she calls for the release of hostages. But still, this is clearly probably the strongest rhetoric we've heard to date. But there's also all the rest that's going on. You have these American airdrops that are taking place. You've got to remember that airdrops such as this one are only usually used when there is no access to the zone and when the situation is complex. We saw that with the Islamic State back in the day. So that does mean that the Americans are saying, right, we can't work with the Israelis when it comes to delivering aid, so we're going to do it by ourselves. And France has already done that. Other countries have already done that. But it is a very significant message. And of course, there is this visit today by Benny Gantz, who is going to meet Kamala Harris, who very clearly is hands-on with this negotiation and pressure on the Israeli government. Benny Gantz is the main opposition figure when it comes to Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu is furious that the American administration is giving this much importance to Benny Gantz. He's actually said, you know, I'm the Prime Minister, it is not Benny Gantz. And so that in itself, of course, is yet more pressure being piled on. And of course, all this stems from the fact that there was this shooting incident during an aid delivery. This was a couple of days ago, 112 people were killed. And of course, this has, let's say, added extra pressure on Joe Biden, who is very criticized by large swathes of the Democratic Party over his unwavering support for Israel with this war. Some saying that he's going too far, and as you know, there have been many people killed, 30,410 according to the Health Administration in Gaza, and well, a lot of people are calling for that to stop, and it's interesting to note that in Michigan there was a primary, and 100,000 voters voted uncommitted in a sign of refusal of what's going on with the US administration and Israel. So this is where we stand. For now, no deal. We'll have to see how long it takes to actually broker that.
James, thanks very much. James Andre, our senior reporter here on France 24. Thanks.